Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Carl, back with another playthrough. Not kidding. I'm gonna be playing through, I'm not sure exactly how to say it. Dagon. Basically, from my understanding, it is a horror-based, short story, for Cthulhu. And so, that's basically all I know about this. I'm really looking forward to getting the crap scared out of me. And yeah, we'll see where it takes us. And we go. All right, initial playthrough. I don't have any knowledge for this. Dagon is a faithful, interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work, focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here, and movement is limited to progressing through locations along with the plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
During the game, you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue on your journey, others will reveal interesting facts about the original short story, its historical background, and the author. Okay. So I got these three icons. Might be doing something here. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find the secrets, focus your eyes and look for the Elder's sign. Alright. Right click to focus. Oh wow. I can't move, I can only move my mouse. It's crazy.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below.
Whoa.
Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
So he's a morphine addict. It's the only thing you take to cope with the pain. Interesting. I'd probably perky myself too if I was being chased by Cthulhu. Which one? So we got an ink holder, and I'm not sure exactly what this is. Maybe empty morphine bottles? Here we go, some facts. Morphine entered into the use in the 19th century and was routinely administered to treat severe pain during the American Civil War and World War I. It was also sold without restrictions until 1914, over-the-counter morphine. That's crazy. Morphine became popular after the invention of the hypodermic syringe around 1854. Friedrich, who first isolated the substance, originally named it morphium, after Morpheus, the Greek god associated with dreams. At the time when Dagon was published, morphine abuse, known as soldier's disease, already posed a big problem in the United States. You can read, discover trivia, immediately go back to them later in the main menu. Okay. Yeah, I'll show trivia. That's pretty cool, actually. I fuck with trivia. What else we got on here? Some books? Maybe man's kind of a scholar. Let's see what's going on here.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
It's the boat. Oh, we're on the boat. This is the German boat right here.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation.
The Great War. So this might be World War II. Oh, no. Probably World War I, because we were talking about morphine addiction. Yeah. The Hun had not completely sunk to the labor.
So that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
So I'm a naval prisoner on this ship. Alright. Got the flag, the German flag. The Huns. Oh, not German. Central Asian nomads. Brutal and deadly warriors, masters of quick raids. During World War I, they used the Hun as a synonym for Germans. Okay, so maybe Germans. So it looked like a German flag. They embarked. Okay. Should you encounter the enemy, he will be defeated. No quarter will be given. No prisoner will not be taken. Whoever falls in your hands is forfeited, just as 1,000 years ago the Huns under their king Attila made a name for themselves. So this is like a war cry. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of laws and customs of war adopted during the First Hague Convention of 1899. So they're brutal. These guys don't play around.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
My provisions. I got out. I'm free.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings.
Yeah, where's the boat? Oh, we're far. Whoa, look at that. That's crazy.
Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Am I gonna be looking at some stars? Oh, there's the sun. Yeah, how can you determine where you are? I don't think I could ever do that if I was afloat at sea. Like by looking at the sun, how would you even know you're close to the equator, where you're positioned with the stars, where like the North Star is or something? I don't know. Crazy.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
My rations looking low, right?
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue.
Damn, that's tough.
The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
What the? What is that? What is that?
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see.
It's all the way over there. This thing's huge.
And in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Jesus, this is brutal. So we're on some type of like land. What is that? Is that a isopod or something? There we go. Seems to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel of a strange fish in an isolated lake. His dream about a strange island emerging from the ocean and him crawling in this ooze that covered the surface. I dreamt that the whole hideous crawl and can yet feel the ooze sucking me down. His interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells. I hated fish and feared the sea and everything connected with it since I was 2 years old, but I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such a profound and lasting aversion to the sea and seafood. Wow. Alright, Mr. Isopod, we out. Ugh.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position.
So, it's like so expansive. What is it?
Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
So these things are just laying here. Ain't no birds, ain't no seagulls coming up to munch on them. Yeah, I wouldn't even want to eat these things if I was a seagull. Dude, like, look at that. Like all squirmy and... What?
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Yeah, get me out of here. What the... Like, look at that thing. Yeah, there's no way I would be able to sleep in this. God, what an ominous atmosphere. It is very, very like a dream. Very much like a dream. Wow.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Alright, we gonna leave the boat? Is that like a stingray or something? Alright, we out. Let's get out of here. Ugh. Ooh, what is that? Ooh, slime
All day
sound.
I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
What are those? Ugh. This is just nasty. Like... What's the whale doing? No! Free Willy! What are you doing here? No! I'm sorry, buddy. I gotta leave you. Gotta think of myself.
That night, I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
What's this? The creator of Cthulhu Mythos, and the fictional underwater city of Riley, was convinced that life could not exist at the bottom of the ocean because the water pressure would make it uninhabitable. Today we know that the darkest depths of the ocean are home to many peculiar organisms. The deepest dwelling fish to have discovered so far, the snailfish, Mariana snailfish, can live up to 8,000 meters below the ocean surface, in the never-ending darkness and at that hellishly crushing pressure, hundreds of times stronger than those found at sea level. Upon glancing at the modern photos of deep-sea creatures such as anglerfish, fangtooth, and viperfish, and their truly Lovecraftian characteristics, it's hard not to find some irony in this. Wow. These things live at the bottom of the ocean. Ooh. There's so much of the ocean that we haven't even explored yet. Imagine if this stuff is down there. Onward we go.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance. An intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again. And in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
No. We're not climbing this thing at night. We're not doing anything at night. We're staying right where we are. Making a fire, getting the beasts away. I mean, I understand the motivation to go at night to save energy, but it's just not worth it. It's too fucking scary, man. All right, I guess we're climbing this mountain. I mean, the mountain makes more sense though. Let me know what y'all think. Day or night? Which one do you pick? Here we go.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
The bottomless pit, and we go.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent.
What's that down there? What's that glowing thing?
Whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Down we go. Keep her going.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me. An object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Some sort of like portal or something. What's going on here?
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself. But I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Here we go.
For despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith. whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Alright, what do we got? So ominous. Anything. Nah, looks like we're moving on. Let's get closer to this thing.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm.
What it? Markings. Whoa. Whoa.
And revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Yeah, what's up with this little pool of water here? Hopefully it's drinking water. I gotta survive somehow. Alright, let's check out this monolith. Let's see what it's up to. I want to know what these things mean.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books. Consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like.
Yup.
Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world.
Yeah, I don't see those. I don't know what those are.
But whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain.
Oh.
It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Him. Storytelling methods. Contains many themes to storytelling methods that he developed in his later works, like telling the story through carvings, journals and character notes, islands emerging from the ocean, or fictional beings and deities based on real events and mythologies. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu Mythos. Some of Lovecraft's other stories also conclude in a manner similar to Dagon. Alright. Let's find out what these things were. We saw them walking up. I mean, we saw those little tentacle things right there. Let's get a closer look at these.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men. Though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto.
Pretty spooky, man.
Or paying homage at some monolithic shrine, which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint. Grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background. For one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
So if you're telling me These guys are as big as Free Willy. That little that beached whale that I saw earlier. What the Piltdown Man. It often used latest scientific discoveries as inspiration. Even updated stories in the last moment to make sure they reflected the latest breakthroughs. Unfortunately, the method was not without its flaws after his death. It was mentioned in Dagon and turned out to be a fraud. In 1912, Charles Dawson, an amateur archaeologist, announced that he discovered a missing link between ape and man, the fossilized remains of a previously unknown early human. Years later, they turned out to be a forgery, but the fraud had already managed to negatively affect early research of human evolution. Wow. Turns out he was a con man. Dude. Yeah, if those were the early humans, because I know evolution, water to land, like, dude, whoa. I could only imagine. What's going on here?
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters.
Hey, yo, what's happening?
Fiend-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds.
Whoa.
I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Dude, that gave me chills. I almost fucking jumped out of my seat when that thing popped up. What? Is that Cthulhu? I thought Cthulhu was like the octopus thing. Alright, we trying to get up this hill. This thing is chasing us. Let's go. Look, we're going back to the boat. Fuck that. Let's go.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
Yeah, no, that would drive anyone mad. Where are we going? Where are we going to? We going? Let's run away. Nah, we're out. I'd be sprinting out that hoe. Oh, it's raining.
Indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard pearls of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods.
Alright, we're at the boat now.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital. Brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing. Nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
So we're crazy now, huh? Alright. That's fine. People call me crazy all the time. I can't handle. The journalist. Prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. Howard was a skilled wordsmith. I almost said swordsmith. But he also took criticism to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry and concentrate on weird fiction. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than a conservative confession. Should the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm? Okay, yeah, no, that's just a bunch of political stuff. I got you. Let's move on. Those are some of his works. Alright, looks like we're going out the door. Let's get out of this place.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist, and
Ethnologist.
amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Dagon. That's what it was. Dagon. That wasn't Cthulhu, that was Dagon. Gotcha. The main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East, ancient god of fertility and crops. The rulers of Akkad from Mesopotamia chose him as a patron saint of their war conquests, appeared as the judge of the dead, a prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He's often mistaken as a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name. Gotcha. In H.P. Lovecraft's work, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, a humanoid race with fish traits that reside in the oceans, worshipped by the secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Ooh, nice. We got some cult stuff too. What else we got on here? Anything in the box? Wow. Looks like we're gonna be moving over there. What we got over here on the bookshelf?
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
Necronomicon. Marketer. Freelancing Market Magazine. Alright, he needed work. I mean, he was mad he needed work. Yeah, I gotcha. Let's check out the Necronomicon. August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. He was an American writer and anthologist, befriended Lovecraft, published many of his works through his company, Arkham House. Arkham House. Interesting. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of the author's work after his death, it is surrounded in numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing the good versus evil doctrine to the Cthulhu Mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraft's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works are often misunderstood and misrepresented in today's culture. It's also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu Mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. Interesting. Oh, I can go all the way around. Okay, nice. Looks like we're going over here. Go to the clock. These days, the word scientist is a widely accepted term. The author used it in the story. Critics pointed out that the man of science was more than an appropriate term to employ. That if Dagon were to be reprinted, he would indeed use the phrase they suggested. Scientist was coined as an analog to artist, to be used when referring to those studying different branches of science. It was the only proper choice among things. It was gender-specific, indicating that science was an endeavor to be only pursued by one sex. Gotcha. The term scientist became more accepted only after World War II, and man of science started fading into obscurity as an old-fashioned synonym. Wonder who that is. Wonder if that's Lovecraft. Or maybe someone else. Maybe one of his, people he looks up to.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Wow. We're out of morphine. Can't do it anymore, man. Tobacco and alcohol. Hated tobacco. Even though when he was 12, in order to look and feel like an adult, He tried it and then quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. Interesting. Kind of weird, but had very strong opinion about alcohol. This is probably during Prohibition in the U.S. Never tasted intoxicating liquor and never intend to. Having a strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or courses the delicate nature equipoise of the evolved human intellect and imagination. Excited my personal repugnance. Hated it. Wow. But he was a morphine addict. I mean, yeah, that if you're insane like that, at this time period, that's all you could turn to.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium. The end is near.
What's up with all that squishing? Sounds like we're back at the, in the ocean.
I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Oh, I shut it in.
It shall not find me. God, that hand! The window! The window!
Where's the window? Wow, what a tough life, man. Everything you believe to potentially have been a manic episode while you were adrift at sea. But shout out to the game devs, I guess. Wow, that was a really great depiction of what that story was. Makes me really interested in Dagon and Cthulhu. Might have to check out all these other games and see what's up with them. Oh, what an interesting game. Wow. I've been taken aback at a lot of that. Very, very tense. Thought that monster was gonna come get me in the end there. But hey, glad I just jumped out the window instead of let that thing scare me. I don't think I could be able to survive that. Anyways, like the video, make sure to like it, comment what you thought about the game, hit that subscribe button. Helps out, keeps me motivated to want to do these things. But yeah, catch you all in the next one.